Boom, welcome. We are live. Not kicking the bucket. We are definitely live and alive, right and direct here from Tokyo. What is the date today? Today is August 7, 2016, and I believe today is the anniversary of the A-bombing of Hiroshima. In fact, maybe that was yesterday. Was that the 6th? I think it was the 6th now that I think back, but there was a lot of news about that yesterday. Not actually one of the things I'm planning to talk about, but that was one of the things that sort of happened yesterday that is interesting to talk about if people are interested. As always, on these live broadcasts, you can ask me whatever the hell you want. I've had a busy time lately. I'm going away on vacation next weekend, so I will not be around. I will not be broadcasting next weekend, just be aware. However, I do have information which I want to share with you guys about the upcoming summer party and 2 Creator Day events which I will be hosting with YouTube in the YouTube space on September 3rd. So September 3rd is basically, I just want to get this point across, it's going to be a massive day. I explained this on 2.5 Oyajis last night. I'm going to repeat it here today. I'm going to be hosting like 3 events in one day. It's going to be crazy, but it's going to be really, really good. And I actually need some help. I need to be able to call on some of you guys to help me out, make this a success. At the very least by just showing up and showing some support. But I could actually use some help with some of the organization around that, which I'm also going to explain in a minute. But anyway, let's say hello. Boom. I said boom. When I came in, I said boom. Maybe I got the timing wrong. I don't know. I always bring the boom, you know me. Let's see who's in the place. By the way, big welcome to Travis Moore, who is in Japan at the moment, somewhere at the moment. He's just saw that he arrived, and that is pretty cool. Mr. Cordy Chep, totally appears to have hacked Ra's al Ghul. He's in there and is taking his lines. Foghart is here. Montagajinka, John Reeves, good to see you, sir. Who else we got in here? We got one of the regular suspects. And I'm sorry it was such short notice tonight. I'm going to explain in a minute why I was kind of so late getting started tonight, and I'm deeply ashamed. We have Robert 1967 Canada. Excellent to see you, sir. And who else we got in here? It's pretty much the Bradley Ford. Very good to see you. And Ocker. Yes indeed. I'm glad that you can now see every hair on my head there. I do actually have hairs on my head. It's not a big deal. I'm totally cool. But anyway, Caroline Van Oostenburg, great to see you, and I very much hope that you can get your travel stuff together so that you can come and join us. Maybe that's where I should start off. Actually, I'll start off with this. So the reason that I started late, particularly the Japanese thing, I'm deeply ashamed of this. I randomly saw something which looked so stupid I just had to record it, and I discovered on my hard disk recorder, which I have beside the computer here, that I had like 12, actually not 12, I had 4 episodes saved of an MTV dating game show. I can't even remember the name of it, but it involves, they put 10 of the stupidest men and 10 of the stupidest women that MTV could find, and they put them in Hawaii, and they offer them $1 million if they can figure out. They basically have some matchmakers figure out who they're supposed to sort of be with, which these are very severely defective people, and they're supposed to figure out who they have been match-made with, in order to get all this money. And it's so stupid. It's like, I watched it and it was like too embarrassing, and I was like fast forwarding, and I was like, no man, I should have just deleted all of this. But then it started, just the stupidness of it became kind of funny, and I kept watching it, and this is what MTV game shows do to you, of course. And I was just watching it. I couldn't look away. I had to find out what was happening. It keeps freezing. I'm sorry. The health is good according to my freeze, so I'm sorry if the feed isn't good for some of you people. Foghart, try refreshing maybe, but I can confirm I have had problems in the past, but I do not have problems with my internet speed tonight. So it's probably not me. I will keep an eye on that, however, just in case that there does prove to be an issue there. But anyway, yes, I've just been watching the stupidest MTV show ever. And yes, Mr. Cordy Chip, thank you for the advice on that, but frankly there's one more episode I'm probably going to watch after this. I don't know. It's like watching Trump. It's like you don't want to watch it, but you can't look away once you start watching it. You know, I mean, hell, I'm probably going to end up voting for the show or something. Who knows? So what do we got here tonight? In terms of, I don't have anything prepared again. It's just been it's been crazy. It's been really hot in Tokyo. It's been 35 degrees the last 2 days, which I think in American is like 100 is what about? It's like nearly 40. I think by those standards, Osaka and some parts of Kyushu have actually gotten to 100 degrees. I'm pretty sure it's like 38 degrees is 100. So we've been in the high 90s in Tokyo, and it's been crazy. And you know, like yesterday, this morning, we actually had rugby training for the kids rugby team club that I helped to coach. I'm one of the assistant coaches of the upper grades team for the elementary school kids, which is basically 10 to 12-year-olds. My son is 6. He's not in a team that I coach, but he's in the club, so he's doing his rugby thing in a different area. Today was 35, and you know, he wasn't in tip-top shape, and it was just so hot. For me, I was like, okay, if you don't want to go, you don't have to go today, because we were playing on an artificial ground, and it was like crazy. In Japan, it's really traditional culture that not only did they make them play in the middle of these incredibly hot summers that they have and play rugby, which is very physically intense, but they also used to not let the kids drink water, because you know, a lot of schools have this old-fashioned philosophy in Japan that it builds up toughness in kids to force them to basically dehydrate and sometimes die, which I guess it would if they don't die, but they do die occasionally, and this is a problem. So unfortunately, I'm not from a club that advocates the killing of the kids that play. And as coaches, we are all, I consider today 50% of my job to be watching the kids and making sure that they're drinking a lot and resting and looking for anything that looks like heat exhaustion, which is a really real risk. I mean, geez, even me myself, I was kind of getting close to that today. So I've been drinking a lot, but you know, and it was pretty exhausting. That said, it was a lot of fun. It really is fun coaching kids rugby. It's rewarding for me, so that was good. But I didn't put my son into that today, in spite of the fact that I'm one of the coaches at the club. You know, and I wanted to be there partly to make sure it was safe for the kids that were showing up, you know, so that is what it is, but that is Japanese culture. You know, in New Zealand, we don't play rugby in summer anyway, and I'm pretty sure we would call it a fajita, like 25 degrees, but here in Tokyo, 35 degrees, it's like everyone show up. So it's pretty tough, you know. We have Obon coming up this week. Obon is the time of the year in Japan that basically, it matches the summer break, but it's a bit like Thanksgiving in a way, in the sense is that it's when you go and see all your relatives. It's when you go and sort of travel back to the old hometowns. It is actually the time spent when families will generally go back to the family grave sites, which will be what's considered to be the home territory of the family. And I know that sounds kind of somber. Basically, what you do is you go and you pay a donation to the Buddhist shrine. It's always Buddhist ceremonies where people have funerals. So you pay a kind of a very large cash sum to the in fact, what would you even call it, the Ohaka, the cemetery, the Buddhist cemetery where the ancestors are. You go there often, you know, actually if you go into the countryside outside of central Tokyo, they actually, like, some people have set up full family picnics with food and drinks and all the family and everything in front of the graves, and it's actually really, really nice. It's a bit like the Irish. The Irish apparently do celebrate in cemeteries as well, and you know, I think Western sort of Protestant countries, we have this idea that cemeteries are kind of scary and you know, full of dead people and stuff, and you don't really want to go there. You want to make sure someone's buried and have a nice ceremony, and you don't deal with it again. Japan is a thing that you remain constantly engaged. 4 times a year you're supposed to go and just tidy up, keep the gravesite clean, and you have a conversation with the olds, and who knows if they're listening or not, but it's nice to think maybe they are, and even if they're not, it's nice on our part to keep the memory of those people alive by going and have a conversation with them. So it's a really nice thing. It's what people do at this time of year, although at the same time, because it's also summer vacation, while the majority of Japanese will go back to their hometowns, to their grandparents, to the house or whatever, and do all that. I'm going home to Phuket, which will be awesome, in Thailand, my dad's house, so that will be very, very cool. Very good to see all of you guys. The little shops being attacked by cicadas. They're noisy buggers and they grip on hard. They are pretty sturdy with that stuff. So yeah, that sucks, getting attacked by cicadas. I've been attacked by fear than myself. It's not so bad where I am at the moment, but yeah. Bear in mind, all the time, you guys can ask me anything that you like. If I catch it in the comments, and you can be persistent if I don't catch it the first time, just ask me again. I will address it, but otherwise I got topics. I got topics like nobody's business. I also have a track which I put up today on onto SoundCloud. I also have tracks. By the way, I have to disconnect this for a second just to check something. I also have a track which I have in progress at the moment. So okay, I have to turn the lights down a little bit. I'm getting a message, so let me do that. I'll be right back. Okay, I guess this is just a little bit more intimate. We can call this sexy time with me. Oh. And who wouldn't want that? We got some lights. Oh. Wait a minute. Let me put that on there, and let me put that on there. Let me put a light on over here, and boom. Okay, it's not as good as I would want it to be. Let's see if I can just improve this a little. No, that's not it. Sorry. Oh, that's bright. Okay, well that'll do. At least you can still see me. Anyway, who have we got in here? And what comments do we have? French Akajin, good to see you. 071, awesome to see you. Robert Ryan, good to have you along. Natalie C, great to see you. Not a regular commenter, but I thought you'd say hi since you managed to catch the live stream. Yes. Thank you for catching the live stream, and good to talk to you, Natalie C. We've got Barringer. Yeah, Bear is always hydrated, that's right. He's also got terrible breath. Funny that thing. Who else we got here? We got Baker Levitt. Nice to hello Baker Levitt, good to see you. And Shubas from Panama. You're not too late at all. Good morning, Panama, and very good to see you. And I think we're caught up. Who else we got there? We are caught up. I should do sexy plant time like Man in Japan used to do. Well, for me, you know, all times sexy times. That is just how I roll. So that is pretty good. And let's talk about you know what, no, let's go into this. Let's talk about the party. Let's talk about September the 3rd. So September the 3rd is going to be big in terms of there are going to be 3 events which I am hosting. I talked about this on 2.5 Oyajis last night. Hey Sean Bro, good to see you. And Tim the Asian Ink, also good to see you. And Ben Duncan, hey, Ben Duncan, you're someone I also want to talk to a little bit about the party on September 3rd night. But there are 3 events that are happening. What's happening is this. There are, I am hosting 2 YouTube events at the YouTube space on September 3rd. One is going to be there's going to be 2 creator days. One is going to be all hosted in English. The registration information is going to be updated, and I will help publish it tomorrow. But basically it'll be for up to about 100 places of anyone who wants to go through basically a seminar on, it'll be presenting some standard YouTube materials, but also I'm going to be setting up a panel discussion with some big YouTubers who I am just getting the details sorted out, but I'm talking with some people that should make it pretty cool. It'll be like an Ask Me Anything Q&A panel discussion, as well as YouTube's sort of own guide to using its latest features and how to get like the most views and the best reactions, how to basically produce your videos best. And then the YouTube staff themselves are going to give a quick course on you know, how to shoot like really good videos on your own. So it's going to be real, you know, basically it's focused on getting people with between 1 and 10,000 subscribers up above 10,000 subscribers. It's kind of, you know, a booster course. And I'm doing that in English between 11 and 3 p.m. and from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be hosting the same event again, only with some Japanese people helping out. And maybe some of the bilingual people helping from the first event. We're going to be doing the same thing again in Japanese. If you want to participate in both and you're bilingual, and that's totally cool, yes, you can participate in both. But the great thing is that because we'll have all these people coming to Tokyo for the party, which will be happening from 7 p.m. at the Tokyo Sports Cafe in Roppongi, it's actually a nice chance for a lot of people to also come and visit the YouTube space and participate in an official YouTube event where there will also be giveaways and so on, which I will be hosting if you're interested in doing that. So it's another reason, if you only come to Tokyo one day in the year, whether it be from a foreign country, or whether it be from another part of Japan, or if you're in Tokyo and you just never get along to the thing, make this the one day in the year, because you're going to get two awesome Creator Day events, which I'm hosting, so they're going to be good. Plus, I'm going to be I've basically booked the club, and I'm currently putting the logistics together for the party, which will come from 7 p.m. I'm going to need some help with setting up that party on the night, because I'm going to have to stay in the YouTube space at least until 7 o'clock, which is when the party in Roppongi starts. I will sort out the logistics with the club and making sure everything is set to go, but I'm probably going to need a couple of people. I'll probably approach some, but we'll probably need some help just with making sure there are people who can go at about 6 or 6:30 and set up the club for the final after party. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be so many people, and because we're having both of the Creator Day events in Japanese and English before this, everyone's going to be around. It's going to be like, it's only just over 100 meters walk from the YouTube space, except this is a regular pub, which means that unlike the YouTube space, there's no limitations on needing to have subscribers or whatever. You don't have to even have a channel to come along. You can just be a fan or a watcher. Plus, you can record videos, you can drink alcohol and so on. It will be Nomi Hore for 3,000 yen, the same as the last few years, and the same place as the last few years. They love us, and there are lots of screens everywhere, so it works really well. Plus, there's a PA and a big sound system set up there. It doesn't work so well with live bands, but it does work okay for plugging in sound into the sound system there. And this is something, Ben Duncan, I'd like to talk with you, because as you may be aware from the Twitter feed, I'm going to approach a few people who are able to, without putting in a full band, maybe do a couple of performances, some musical numbers or something, maybe some small stand-up or something like that. We'll see how it goes. I don't want it to dominate the event, but at the same time, if we're doing that, there are a couple of tracks, including some tracks with vocals that are being developed by Mighty Maki JPTV, and yeah, if we can set everything up really well, we might be able to make this an event where Tokyo Digital Crew tracks would be performed live for the first time. And if that being the case, we'd want it to sound reasonably goodish, given it's kind of a crappy setup in terms of the sound system, but it will work. So it would be awesome, Ben, if I want to talk with you about that, particularly just making sure that Maki's vocals will sound appropriately awesome, and getting the setup for that. I think that would be really awesome anyway. And yeah, totally film the whole thing. So there's a few things around that which I'm looking for setting up. But anyway, it's going to be a really epic day. Like I say, if you only come to Japan one day in the next 10 years, make it this September 3rd, because you got two YouTube Creator Days and the YouTube party. And by the way, for the YouTube party, the YouTube is also throwing behind more support than a lot of years. We did this totally unofficially, and we'd go and ask for YouTube help, and they would say, sometimes I'd even show up to the party and they'd say, hey, yeah, we'd love to help you more, but we can't, rules. And lately they've become a lot more open to supporting our events, so they give us, swag. Last year we gave away a bunch of shirts. This time I think we're going to be giving away all sorts of stuff, cookies, notepads, just all sorts of YouTube swag. So either way, and you're going to get also all of that sort of stuff, in fact the shirts and probably slightly cooler stuff at the Creator Day if you can come to that. But if you can come to the party, there'll be swag and prizes and stuff as well, so it's going to be pretty full on and awesome. If you're interested in going to the after party, so for the Creator Day registrations, those are probably going to go up tomorrow. Watch my Twitter or my Facebook for the information on those. I'll probably do another video about those as well, although I'm going to be away next week, so I'm going to try to shoot the video as soon as the information is confirmed so that everyone knows where to find the sign up pages. However, the best way is if you follow my Twitter or my Facebook, I will put the information. In fact, I will also put the information for the Creator Day sign-ups on this event page here on Facebook. This is a public Facebook event page, which is for the 7 p.m. party. If you are coming, it really helps me for logistics. It helps me for getting swag from YouTube. It helps me for making sure I'm securing enough space at the party venue, and that they put on enough staff for the party. So if you're coming, if you're able to come, if you'd like to come, two things. One, share this with anyone you think is interested. Put this on your Facebook and your Twitter and your Snapchat and whatever you got. Share it around so that people who want to know. And RSVP, let me know if you're coming or if you're just interested. And right now we already have 62 responses, 31 interested and another 31 people going. It's pretty good responses, and this is just from having put it up like on Friday night, without any promotion really to date. So please share it around, and definitely hope to see you guys there, and you can come and meet me, hang out with me, hang out with Victor, hang out with pretty much everyone in the community at once. It's going to be pretty awesome. So there you go, that's that. I also have just thinking, I think I mentioned before, I've got a track I'm working on at the moment that I think I'm going to try and do a little bit live, some editing of it, so it might be crap, but we'll see at the end of this. But yeah, hey, if you guys, like I said, this is the best time of year to come to Japan. It's going to be kind of hot, but there we go. And Ben Duncan, thank you for that. That'll be actually helpful. That'll get exactly the types of people I'm hoping make it to the party. So that's very good. Make sure you so the link, by the way, to the event page is in the video information below this video, so you can click it right now. Open it up. Make sure that you at least give me an indication as to whether you are interested, able, or if you're actually planning to come. I don't have a Flipboard prepared. Again, that's just been kind of crazy lately. Can you pay? Yeah, you can pay me, and then you can go and touch Victor's face, and you'll have my permission to do so. Yeah, that's totally cool. Okay, so how could you miss it? How could you miss it? Seriously. I don't have a Flipboard magazine prepared for tonight. I've just got my tweets from this week, so I'm just going to randomly flip through and find stuff that I think is interesting. But there again, of course, feel free to ask me questions there, because I'm looking straight ahead and I'm seeing your comments in front of me at the moment. One thing I will say, it was interesting, I saw a documentary last night about the Nagasaki, the Hiroshima bombing, marking the anniversary of that. As I always go to great pains to sort of point out that the Japanese coverage doesn't necessarily, of the A bombings, it doesn't generally say that it was a war crime, or that it was the Americans did this horrible thing to us and made us victims and so on. Generally, the angle of commemorations is this is just a terrible disaster that happened to Japan, and we need to make sure it never happens again, and we need to renounce war. And, that's kind of the message that happens. And that whole "we need to renounce war" message is something which really, riles the right wing in Japan, which wants to militarize and change the constitution to do that. But it's something that you go to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and you'll find a very strong support for left-wing parties that very much want to make sure that, again, one, want to make sure they blame the right wing for the war, and two, want to make sure that they don't reform the constitution. So you have a very interesting situation there. With last night I saw kind of an unusual documentary, and it was a documentary based on the history of the decision to drop the A-bomb and the mechanics behind it within the US government during World War II. And it was really, really interesting. There was in fact, I might get the names wrong now, but the three key players, as I understand, one was a guy called Grove, who was like the head of the Air Force or Army, or certainly head of the military side of the decision-making process, the targeting committee, and they decided on the time and the candidate cities and so on to bomb. And the four cities that were candidates. One was Kokura, which is basically Kitakyushu. One was Nagasaki, one was Hiroshima, and one was Kyoto. And the military all wanted to nuke Kyoto. However, to do that, they had to go through the Secretary of War, Stimson, a guy called Stimson, who reported to Truman, and Truman had to sign off on the order. And according to this documentary, what was interesting was the army lobbied right up to the last minute, and they were dead set on bombing Kyoto, which Stimson and Truman both felt would have been too much of an atrocity to do. There was a city that was recognized as being a city full of civilians, and as being, there's actual correspondence which has been declassified that they thought that themselves that would make them the same as the Nazis if they did that. The military prepared a case for the second candidate of Hiroshima, saying that it's basically all military. It did have military significance, but the idea that that city of 360,000 people is all military was of course fake. But basically what the NHK documentary comes up as a conclusion was that Truman was deceived by the military mischaracterizing the nature of the Hiroshima as a target. And not only that, but the order to drop the bomb, which was executed while Truman was on a ship, they assert that it was never directly actually signed off on by Truman. It was kind of done by the military running off, and executing the order without the... Truman always took the responsibility for it afterwards. He didn't want it to make it look like the military had gone and done this without his permission. But they kind of put an angle, which is again by US researchers, that it was interesting that the bomb happened actually without the authorization of the president, or at least which is interesting. I mean, no question, he kept it. Also, yeah, Dean Bennett, the actual correspondence of Stimson and Truman, the diaries of them and the discussions that they had around the targeting, the use of the A-bomb was, Truman and Stimson wanted to avoid as much as possible deaths of women and children from using the A-bomb, and the military said, well, if you drop it on Hiroshima, it's all just men and military people, so it won't be so much. It'll be like you can minimize civilian casualties by dropping on Hiroshima. Hiroshima is a normal city, a very westernized city actually, that had like electric trams and everything. Of 360,000 people that they dropped it on, they killed 100,000 of them. But Truman, called it a military base in the speech that came after. So yeah, they indeed thought that they were avoiding an atrocity by bombing Hiroshima, which is is very interesting to read. At the end of the day, it's done. Truman apparently only met Hibakusha. I didn't know this as well. Truman met Hibakusha once. He met a number of victims of Hiroshima, and in a 3-minute speech to them, he said that the bomb actually saved Japanese lives as well as Western lives. The projected casualties on both sides from allowing the war to continue would have been worse. And so it was a justified decision. Although saying that directly to the victims, I mean, this is of course what everyone pretty much in the West now acknowledges. It was still a very interesting documentary. So just having had the anniversary of that. Another thing that's very interesting that I don't have in the tweets down here at the moment is what's happening tomorrow, which is that the Emperor is going to has probably already recorded. There will be broadcast a message from the Emperor, a 10-minute message, where he is going to indicate his preference to abdicate, if it's possible, to his son, the Crown Prince. Not currently permitted under the Constitution, and there is this big ongoing question and tension as to the degree to which the Imperial Household Agency serves the royal family and the degree to which it controls the royal family. With some members of the royal family, like Princess Masako, who married in, who's basically had kind of a lot of more or less of a nervous breakdown early on, and it's kind of been sustained, like she's not adapted well to the pressure of imperial life. And they've been kind of publicly, and the bureaucrats from the Imperial Household Agency do drop stories to the media, and they do talk to the media, and they not infrequently contradict what the royals themselves say. And they see themselves as almost like a guard, but also like police, like as prison guards of the imperial family, and they've been kind of very coercive around the Crown Prince's family, and indeed around the idea of having a female succession, which they totally didn't want. I mean, they see themselves as the defender of what Meiji wanted the royal family to be, which was all men and basically kind of a westernized monarchy. However, there's no provision under the Japanese Constitution for abdication. The idea is that it's a job for life. But the Emperor, right now he's not in the best of health. He's in his mid-80s and he's got a healthy enough son, and he wants to hand it over. So yeah, it looks like it's going to happen tomorrow, and it's going to be interesting to see the fallout. Steve Miller from Voice of America, he's indicated he might want to talk to me about that, which might be cool. I don't know if it's going to be on his podcast or something else, but I'll be interested to hear the message and to see what happens with it. But the Emperor's actually been very direct. He's actually gone to the media and kind of said, I really want this to happen. He's gone to NHK, and there's actually been clear public conflict between what the Emperor is saying and what the Imperial Household Agency is saying, where the people have come out and said from the Imperial Household Agency, no, the Emperor never said that, even though he said it directly. He dropped the message directly. So there's a bit of confusion, but hopefully it's going to be resolved tomorrow. And like I said, I am generally of the school that royals are kind of ridiculous anyway, from a country whose head of state is still the Queen of England, who's technically also the Queen of New Zealand, but I'm sure she doesn't remember that herself most of the time. Farcical aquatic ceremonies and all that, but to the extent that they have some purpose, and they are they can be kind of nice. It's it is kind of interesting. This is the head of state of Japan, and it is going to be a subject of debate. In the end of the day, I mean, of course, my view is simple. If the emperor wants to abdicate, let him abdicate. Why not? For some rules that Meiji made, which actually contradict the rules that applied to emperors like before that anyway, where there were female emperors, there was abdications and so on. and if what Meiji wanted was a Western-style constitutional monarchy, then frankly, Western-style constitutional monarchies do this all the time. So I think it would be in the spirit of keeping with what Meiji wanted anyway, and I think it's going to happen. So yes, and indeed, Canada as well, Mata Gaijinka, that's right, she's the Queen of Canada. How many times do you ever hear anyone say that Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of Canada? I mean, no one says it, but it's true, it's silly. Okay, I'm glad that you can listen to me talk like a crazy person by myself forever, and I can go on forever, but please, you have to go and see the film, enjoy the film, and this will be recorded later anyway. One thing I really wish, by the way, is that we could do this, I could do this sort of more in a podcast format, partly because of this. I got this the other day. This is an Amazon tap. It's from America. It's a parallel import. I'm learning how to program for it. I think it'd be really cool if I could check my YouTube subscriptions, check my new comments. It'd be nice if it could read off my latest comments and stuff like that. If there could be a YouTube creator app for something like this. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I would do a demonstration, but I've been using this at work where I'm programming for it. So I don't have it set up for the home Wi-Fi yet. I thought I'd do it on the weekend, but I just haven't had any time, as you can see. Partly because I admit I've been watching stupid MTV programs. However, yes, I would very much. It'd be cool if I could go and get Victor's latest subscription, video, whatever, and just listen to it on this, and not have to look at his damn face, which I know I'm putting you guys through at the moment as well. Matagaijinkai. The thing, Meiji is interesting. He certainly had a lot of influence. I mean, in terms of constitutional power, he didn't have much, but he represented that whole very, very monumental ground shift as to, what Japan was. And he did institute the format for what the monarchy was supposed to be in Japan. And indeed, it's a bit like Turkey. It's a bit like the military in Turkey, not quite as crazy as Turkey, of course, but but safeguarding secularism over there. The imperial household agency kind of does the same thing in terms of just like the Turkish military guards the legacy of Ataturk and basically judges everything going on in Turkey by would Ataturk be cool with this? The household agency seems to judge everything by would Meiji be cool with this, and it's their job to be a bit like the Pope, to sort of go back and hold a consistent standard and not be swayed by fashion and the times. And that's where you have this very interesting conflict. You have a monarchy that really needs to modernize to survive in some ways at the moment, and they're struggling to do it because their values, as they see it, are to uphold values which were set in a very different period of time from, if not personally by Meiji, certainly by it was the result of, the people that he sent out to Europe and had come back. So, I think Meiji, I'm not an expert on the Meiji period, but it is very interesting. Baker Levitt, is the Tokyo Digital crew based in Japan, or do you have artists who live elsewhere? Very good question. We have people everywhere, and this is what's cool about it. I call it Tokyo because partly it's people from the comments of these videos that got together. This is where we all sort of formed the group, but at the same time, we have people like Mata Gaijinka, who's in Canada. We have people from America, like Tai Nakamura. We have people UK, like Foghard. We got people in Japan. We got people all over the place, and this is it. We exist. We collaborate. We make music. We make music independently and together. And we share it together on Facebook and elsewhere, and we make it available for you guys. But we're a collective who are just basically, we share this common interest, I guess, of having an interest in Tokyo. And that's kind of what makes it cool. It's a very nice, this day and age sort of a project. And it's really exciting to be able to do projects which are more collaborative recently. And I really hope that I can show some results from that sometime. Thank you for the question, by the way, Baker Levitt. I hope that answers your question, and feel free to keep asking more questions. I am trying to pay attention anyway, and I will answer if I catch the question. And the Sergeant Bilko, the Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, comes to mind. That's a great movie. I don't know what that is in response to, but there you go. Aussie movies, eh? You can always tell. I can tell within about 2 seconds of seeing any Aussie film that, this is an Aussie film. There's a certain light, there's a certain atmosphere. Baker Lever, you are a music producer in Alaska who used to produce EDM but recently become interested in vocal and music. Whoa! Okay. Baker Levitt, message me on Twitter or Facebook. Let me make it very clear. I didn't say the most important thing about the Tokyo Digital Crew, which is that we make all our music available under the most broad license possible under Creative Commons. We make all of our music free and available for anyone to use, primarily for video games or for YouTube videos. But that said, we all like making music, but we're very selective. Some of the people in this group make professional music, and we're very careful that the music that they want to make with their bands or that they want to sell, they don't share with Tokyo Digital Crew. Tokyo Digital Crew music is music which is available for sharing, and you may, if you're into production, be familiar with Creative Commons. We use the most open license for that. And the idea is that we want to make it to share, basically, to collaborate with one another and to share with other creators. Now, if you are like experienced in producing EDM and you know how to make Vocaloid music, I would love to talk with you. Vocaloid's something is what I've been wanting to play with. I mean, it's great we have Maki, and that's actually having a real vocal is best, and that's where we can have a good event now. Yeah, at the same time, Baker, if you're interested, please message me. My probably Twitter is the best way, yeah, I'd love to talk more about that. Hey Lara, good to see you. Good to have you along. And the party has been started already, but all the stuff I think, well, maybe you don't know about or you do know about. We've got the Creator Day, 2 Creator Days happening on September 3rd in Tokyo, which I'm hosting, and then we've got the YouTube Summer Party also on September 3rd in Roppongi. It's going to be awesome. So yes, I guess I just have to start over again. I've got no choice, do I, Sergeant Booker? There you go. So what else we got here? I'm just going through randomly my Twitter stories because I haven't really curated this. And this is, I was just talking before about the Emperor thing. Emperor Anna Fifield, by the way, she's someone I still haven't met yet, but actually she's from New Zealand and I'm from New Zealand, and I did discover in a quick conversation with her over the phone, I am hoping to meet her sometime, but that one of her best friends is like a sister of one of my best friends from high school. We're all basically related. That's New Zealand. It's just not enough people, but she's very cool and she does very, very good coverage, and so that's a good summary of that situation there with the Emperor. What else have we got here? We've got Lara, I will update you later. I will give you all the information. Robert Ryan is an unanswered question. Is one of the reasons that the Japanese don't seem to resent World War II that they despise the military junta for oppressing the Emperor? No. Robert Ryan, I can't speak for the collective mind of Japan, but that's not one of the things I've heard per se. Let me read that one more time. Is that they despise the military junta? No, they don't really despise. The thing is, Japanese, most of the discussion about World War II generally looks at it passively. They look at it as being a natural disaster. It becomes more awkward when you get into the issue of blame. It's not really Japanese culture to really strongly blame people. This is another important sort of thing. Western culture, we like to blame. We like to say to Japan, well, World War II happened, it's your fault, you did it, and you're feeling sorry for yourselves, but you're not feeling sorry for your victims, who you're to blame for. This happened because of you. It's very important to us to impress on Japan that it was their fault and that they brought this on themselves. If you lived in Japan a long time, you'll kind of become aware, Japanese culture is very much shit happens. Now, no question, Japan did bring this upon itself. I mean, didn't have to attack America. But that said, it's not remembered in Japan the way that you would expect it if they were more like my culture, where they would be looking for whose fault is it, who are the horrible people who did this to us. They remember it like a tsunami. You think about the tsunami, you think about all the natural disasters in Japan, people would be pretty pissed off at whatever gods they worship, I imagine, because there are a lot of natural acts of God that end up wiping out a lot of people in Japan. But it's kind of funny how the war is seen like that, and to the extent that and people don't go into the subject of blame, but the moment that you kind of get into the history and into those sort of areas, you do start to hint at blame, if not going at it directly. And that's where it becomes very awkward. But there's no question the undertones of the way that Hiroshima and Nagasaki celebrate is very anti-central government, and it's very anti what that became, although I don't know that that's necessarily representative of all of Japan. But it's the NHK is generally more sympathetic to the Hiroshima Nagasaki view. So it's a really interesting. It's a really deep subject, and I can talk about it forever. But that said, it's not quite as direct as the Japanese public resenting the military junta, which junta, or however you pronounce it correctly. That's not really how it is exactly. It's more just, a terrible thing that happened that they just have to make sure won't happen again. That's generally the way I think it's taken. Bushido Devil Dog, very, very happy that you appreciate the availability on Creative Commons of our tracks. Lara, don't worry. Well, I like I say, I'll probably get a chance to update you anyway if you want to watch it. I feel terrible with people rewatching this, given that it's just thrown together. But I try to make it as interesting as I can. So feel free. Yeah, crazy stuff in the East China Sea at the moment. China just sent like 300 ships and 13 Coast Guard ships to the Senkaku Islands. Just to point out that they can go there. It appears to be a reaction to the new Minister of Defense, Tomomi Inada, who is kind of she's no question a nationalist and a far right winger, and she talks tough on China. But you know what? She talks tough and right wing by Japanese standards compared to China, like send out 300 ships and just invade the guys. That's a different level of crazy and unreasonableness actually at the moment. But I think they're just demonstrating what they can do, and what they can do is they can just march up and take this stuff whenever they want. And that's kind of what's going on at the moment. So China's been going particularly crazy. They've done two things. They've sent 300 ships, fishing ships which are aligned with the kind of fishermen's militia that China runs, along with these Coast Guard ships, and they've sent them to the Senkaku Islands going round. Today apparently 13 of those Coast Guard ships actually went through the territorial waters for the first time. And at the same time they've started putting radar, which Japan is concerned could be military radar, or adapted for military radar, on their prospecting platforms that they also have in East China Sea, which are also on gas fields, which the original plan was that Japan and China would develop together, co-development, making friends, and not setting up any cause for war or anything like that. But China's gone on, basically ignored those agreements in recent years and is doing it all itself. So again, it is kind of alarming, but this is the world that we are dealing with now. You're dealing with a China that doesn't want to even be nice anymore. And Japan, for all the criticism it gets, Japan's been amazingly restrained around these debates. So yes, indeed. What else we got here? Lots of greetings and so on, but Sergeant Boko, I think I mentioned this before actually, on one of the videos I did with Rochelle. Indeed, that movie, Rising Sun, a terrible movie, but I really do like that quote by Sean Connery. And that's exactly it. Everyone's concerned with who fucked up. Fix the problem. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Worry about who fucked up later. And that's definitely the philosophy that I've become. Baker, I'm sorry you had to publish that, and this comment's going to disappear. Can you message me? Just tweet at me on Twitter, and I'll enable so we can DM, because I do want to DM. Because if you're into Vocaloid and EDM production, we're going to be best friends. So what else we got in here? We got... And it's like China's response to Japan's protests at this basically armada that's come to, if not intimidate Japan, possibly invade and take part of its territory. Their advice is, hey, chill, which is reasonable enough. And this is an interesting one as well. So Tokyo recently elected a new governor. She's an ex-Minister of Defense, and again, like the current Minister of Defense, she's quite far out there on the far right of even the LDP. She's a very conservative nationalist person, and she actually brought up ethnic nationalism, which is very rare, by the way, in Japan. It's not like Korea, where they're always talking about how proud they are of their race. Japanese don't talk about race very much, but not Inada actually, Yuriko Koike, during her campaign, it was kind of, some people pointed out some of the slogans she had, like on handwritten leaves on the wall behind her, included, by the Japanese people, for the Japanese people, politics for Japanese, but very specifically the term Japanese. Her job as governor is looking after the tomin. The difference between tomin refer to residents of Tokyo. And Tokyo is home to a very, very large Chinese and a very, very large Korean population, as well as expats like myself. But I'm a very small minority compared to the Koreans, the majority of whom were born here. There are very large communities here. Now, Masazoi, the former governor, he made a point of trying to have good relations with the Korean community in Tokyo and with the Korean government in Korea. And he made a promise to the Korean government in Korea that the Tokyo government would support the construction of a new school for Korean citizens who live in Tokyo. Bear in mind, when you say Korean citizens who live in Tokyo, this could include, of course, Koreans who have come from Korea, but the vast majority are people who are third, fourth, fifth generation born in Japan, Japanese of ethnic Korean background. The point of having a Korean school, however, is that they would learn some Korean culture, I suppose, and they'd remain those, they'd retain some of those ties. Also, those schools, they're not public schools, they're private schools, they're privately funded. However, the Tokyo government has funded some private schools, or they've subsidized the creation of some private schools, specifically where there's some sort of public merit. And this includes Masazoi. He included a commitment to give some subsidies for the creation of these Korean schools, and an assurance to the Korean government that he would support the building of a new school for Korean residents in Tokyo. Koike, this is one of the things that the right wingers really hated about Masazoi. They thought that he was too soft on Koreans, whatever that means. So when she was elected on a platform of explicit ethnic nationalism, and she announced pretty much like within the first week now the plan to support the building of a Korean school in Tokyo, or a new one is going to be taken back to the white paper stage. And she says, we need budget for lots of other things. We have a shortage of daycare and welfare care for elderly, and she's basically saying, this is Japan. Why would we be using tax dollars to build a private school for Koreans? Which kind of makes sense, but at the same time it also marks kind of a shift in tone that, frankly, again, it kind of victimizes the Zainichi people in a way. So yeah, it just marks a bit of a shift in tone back to nationalism, which is what we knew we were getting with this person. I know a lot of magazines and whatever have been giving a lot of praise. Tokyo's elected as first governor, and it's a wonderful feminist move, and she's a powerful, experienced administrator, which she is. But they're not really looking. I always get a little bit troubled when, in the rush to say, yay, she wears a dress. No question, it's a significant milestone for the progression of women in positions of power in Japan. But at the same time, you can't let it look completely past who the person is and what their policies are and what they think. And this one, this marks a friendliness towards people who, frankly, I don't think really represent what Tokyo is all about. But that said, Masazoi, he got a lot of hate for his pro-Korean policy. So there we go. Bradley Ford, thank you for the info on this, and I haven't been reading much detail on this. So it's an existing school that will not be used in the future. So that take over an empty school and pay for the privilege. Oh, okay. So I know it is about tax waste. So, and maybe I need to read up on this more myself. But there. Okay. So there we go. Check it. 1414 Yahoo has a question there. Talking about 2020 Olympics. Do I follow a little bit what's going on in Rio and Japan's first gold medal today? Well, of course I couldn't miss Japan getting its first gold medal today. The 400 meter individual medley, which is like it's like the marathon of swimming. So it's a pretty high status race to win. That was really, really awesome. Well done, the guy, what was his name again, Hirano, who got it. And Japan got third place, the first time in 60 years that a Japanese, that the Japan team has won medals, 2 medals from the same event. So it doesn't happen very often. Japan's very strong in swimming, as you can see. Do I follow it? Yeah, I really want to follow the rugby sevens, which Japan has done terribly. I don't know, I have trouble liking, when I was a kid, and we're talking like 100 years ago now, obviously, but back in the 80s, back when Lionel Richie was singing the Oh What a Feeling at the opening ceremony of the Los Angeles Olympics, there were McDonald's sort of, Olympic meals and so on. There was sponsorship, but it was still very much an amateur event, and it was still like we were taught in school, the Olympic ideals, which was participation was the most important thing, and it's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game, and all of these kind of ideals about sport, which are very embedded in education in Australia. That I was in Australia during the '84 Olympics. And I remember it left a big impression on me, the importance of these very, very good sounding values about, and how it was kind of like, isn't it great that New Zealand, a small country, is doing well and getting lots of medals? The Australians were saying, and it was kind of like, it was always more about the story. And when I look back on my life, the stories that have captivated us most about the Olympics are often about the people from, the underdogs who have done well at the Olympics, or have just, it's a victory by participating. And that's always been nice. That's something, to me, that's something that you want to take your kids to, and that's something that you want to hold up as an ideal for people, and that's something you want schools to dominate all their time talking about. And that's why there's so much money in the Olympics, because, it's such a worthwhile thing. I do get the feeling, I've got to say, it's changed. It's changed a lot. I mean, I think they were right to allow professional sports into the Olympics. I think you always want to have the best athletes there competing. But it has, in no short order, gone from being about participation and, doing the right thing and all that sort of stuff. It's gone from that to being really a nationalist, win-at-all-costs kind of a thing. And to that respect, if any country that you're in now, if I go to Australia, you'd have no idea any country other than Australia was in the Olympics. If you go to Japan, you'd have no idea that any country other than Japan. And everything is about, did we win gold or not? And if not, why not? And they're crying because they didn't get gold or something. It's kind of sad, and I don't like those values that I see. As someone, as a dad now with a kid, I feel uncomfortable showing the way that the Olympics is now compared to the way I think the way I always thought the Olympics was. I feel uncomfortable showing that to my kids. And yes, holy shit, Australia's in the lead. Australia takes its sports crazy seriously, like nobody's business. They spend a lot on elite coaching. So 071, I didn't just give you the finger, not knowingly anyway. I don't know, maybe I did it subliminally. But I wish the Olympics would reclaim a little bit more of the idealism that it used to have. I think that's the thing. I don't really care. All this thing about Rio's the wrong place to have it, or I don't give a shit about that. It's not. I think it's nice that we're having it in Brazil and that we're having this in South America. I don't think it needs to cost so much money. I don't think the IOC has kind of become notorious now for how coercive it is with hosts. But for me, I just wish the overall tone was just a little bit, nicer. Frankly, I don't like how nationalist it's become, just personally. But that said, I do watch it. There's some great sports. I'm looking forward to to watching it. So you know what? We're almost out of time. I'm going to Thailand this week. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to do Muay Thai every day. I've been training for that. It's going to be pretty cool. But at the same time, I want to make some more music tracks. And my most successful music track ever has been Muruwa. It's been the reggae track I made really early on. And I really want to get back into making... I want to make another reggae track. If I'm going to Thailand, it's kind of reggae culture. It's kind of laid back. So I've got Muruwa, and I'm going to kind of tweak it. I'm going to play around with it as a bass and change the track. Let me check that you guys can hear this. In fact, let me do this. Is that coming through? It is. So this is Muruwa. I want to mess with the bass line for this. This is going to be my outro for tonight, but I want to mix this up a bit. might not work. Let's see. Kind of works. These are old tracks. I'm just putting samples in. That's nice. I like this one. That's nice. I'm gonna move this one. That's sweet. Please write a guitar track for this. Well, I'm not going to tweak this and upload it, but yes, indeed, I do this. I can do some cowbell. Let's do some cowbell. There's a cowbell. That's the outro. Have you have a good week. End of the track. That's Muruwai. Anyway, I'm going to remix Muruwai. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to upload it. So look out for that, and hope you guys all have a good week. I'm sorry I won't be here next week. I'm going to be in Thailand. It's going to be awesome. I will send updates about the Creator Day, about the party, all that stuff. I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys again soon. I will also put in some more tracks, so keep checking out my Facebook, my Twitter, and all that good stuff, and see you all soon, and hope to see you at the party September 3rd. Be there or be square. You know what I'm saying. Okay, have a good week, everyone. Peace. I have to awkwardly stop the stream.